You glorious bastards! Yes, I know Devolver Digital haven't actually made the game, but every time I see their name attached to something, I have to check it out. Their track record with me is well above 85% of games that I enjoy that have come via their particular publishing company. They have a knack for finding stuff that is both intriguing and just engaging in a way that most games fail to do unless you're going down the indie route. So today's game, Observation, is a title from a company called No Code, who are based up in Scotland. I say up in Scotland, you might live somewhere where it's down in Scotland, who knows. Anyway, this game is having you play as an AI on a space station called Sam, and something's happened, and you walk into this world in this pitch blackness that you can see, you trying to be relocated into something that can be useful. The game is wonderful. I really have enjoyed my time with it, so I know that might be what you came to hear and you might be clicked off already, but believe me, it's worth just hearing a couple of thoughts about it in case you're on the fence whether to get hold of the game or not. So first things first, looks, I think it looks fabulous. I think the textures and environment just feels really accurate to what I imagine a space station to be like. You get a lot of screens like this with you doing your AI stuff, kind of collecting information, responding with responses, as you would do with a response, to a particular person on the ship called Emma Fisher. And you basically have a role to play in finding out what's happened and working out what is going on around you. I don't want to give too much away. Now, although the narrative story is exceptionally kind of well put together, it's something that you can kind of expect to happen on a space game or film. You know, weird shit's going to happen and you're going to have to deal with it. And obviously you being an AI, you have other things to worry about, like, you know, be able to see things and connect to stuff and self-preservation, etc. So there's lots of that to be worried about. Not that you can really fail at this game, it will take you through quite nicely. It's definitely more focused on telling a story than it is to give you a challenge. But saying that, some of the lateral thinking puzzles are proper lateral thinking puzzles. You'll get moments where, you know, one of your puzzles might have been something stuck onto a laptop or a wall that you can see, which is just part of the scenery, but the detail on it is there for you to pick up, use, and input somewhere else, that kind of puzzle. Whereas other ones is like, have you been paying attention? Because now you need to use that attention to good use. So I think it's very cool in that respect, that it's not trying to do something outside its necessary comfort zone, but has still excelled and achieved it. As I said, the game looks great, the voice acting is solid. The only downside which you might see later on in the video is the character model faces are a bit off, but I'm not going to hold that against them because they're only a small studio. And no one's really ever got that right to absolute perfection, so I can't really muck them down too much. But what I will say with the actual story itself, you do want to find out what happens. You do want to find out what happens to these people and what your part to play in it is. Are you playing as a good guy or a bad guy? You know, at the very start of the game, you don't know. So it's something that you can kind of take along and work out as you go along. And here's the tagline of "Bring her." That's what's going to keep everything running and keep everything kind of happening as you go through the game. It's a very important kind of tagline. I mean, the woman Emma Fisher, she is your kind of focal point, and she's kind of your human side to your digital side, really, in terms of how the dynamic of the game is working. And when I spoke to my co-host Lee and said, right, do you want to play this, because it's pretty damn good. He played it and said, oh yeah, it's predictable and they're screaming for 2001 rights. And I was like, okay, I can see where he's going there. The actual game itself is very much a space game, you know, claustrophobic on a space station type game. And it has got a vibe of, you know, that kind of, especially with the colours and the schemes. It's based in reality rather than just based in fantasy. I say that it's got some chops anyway. But one thing it did remind me of heavily was a game that I played through VR. I have actually reviewed on the channel called Adrift, which has you, as you know, using your VR headset, being inside a astronaut's helmet.
Yeah, me.
And you're kind of boosting yourself around to work out what's happened on a exploded space station. I mean, there's been some damage on this space station in Observation, but you're playing as an AI, which does give you that different angle. You have to get involved with a lot of information gathering, basically fixing stuff through the system, which is kind of a nice touch. And all the things you do in those puzzles, they feel immersed, or they feel part of the world. They don't feel like it's completely separate. You know, I remember when we used to play Watch Dogs, you had kind of a Pipe Mania puzzle to work out a connection from one thing to another. It didn't feel like it was in the game as much as this is a way to have a mini game. Let's do that. In this game, it kind of, you're doing simple actions, but you're doing them in order to make something progress. Like here, you're not doing anything taxing. You're just activating certain columns to be filled up to then get a response, which you can then give back to Emma Fisher to say, yep, we got a problem, or I don't know where 95% of my memory core diagnostics have disappeared to, or my memory core rather. So it's that kind of element that I really enjoyed, and I think gameplay time, you're going to be spending probably about 3 to 6 hours on the game, maybe a bit more if you're collecting stuff that's in the world. There's plenty of laptops to upload, there's plenty of voicemails and that kind of thing, to give you an idea of, you know, what life was like on the station before it all went to shit. I definitely would recommend this game. I think it was on sale on Steam while I was going through actually picking it up and playing it, so it's kind of a launch day discount, but I still would recommend it at the current price that it's going for, and the price for the game will be on screen, I can promise you. But that's really all I have to say about this game. As a bit of a whistle-stop review, it's a difficult one to really talk about too much because there's a lot of stuff going on, and the experience itself is something you want to experience, not just be told about. I think that's really important for a game like this, but it's done by a company that has aimed for a certain thing and achieved it. They haven't tried to do too much, they haven't tried to do too less. They've said, here's a game telling a story, and this is, you know, a couple of hours of entertainment. I can't fault them. I hate it when games try to do too much and it becomes just washed out or empty or vapid, and I think this one has a little bit more of a touch to it to make you want to spend time in that world, want to understand what happens to those characters, gives you a sense of playing a part in that story. I think it's brilliant. I really do think it's a good game. Marks out of 10, I think it's a strong 8 for me. For a narrative type game, you're doing things that are important. You are finding out what happened to this space station and the people on it, and in bits and pieces. That's what I like about it. It doesn't flood you with information, but it doesn't keep anything back. One of the things I would say as maybe a small downer on it is a very small point, and that is when you're in one of these mini game modes, or you're in a menu, hitting the escape key actually takes you out to a pause menu where you can quit the game, rather than taking you back, which is something that I've just maybe always done in games. It's like, I'm in a menu, escape, bring me back, and that's just a small thing. It really is just a small thing. So I will say thank you to No Clip. I was going to say No Clip. That was something from back in like early 2000s. Thank you to No Code, the studio, and thanks once again to Devolver Digital for you guys coming together and getting this out there, you know, in a final polished product with all their lovely Devolver knowledge and adoration. But guys, to both of your companies, thank you very much for producing such a lovely little game that I can sit here and recommend to people and not just shit on something for 10 minutes. So that's nice. Yeah, so if you have liked what you've seen here today, we do have videos out every Wednesday and Saturday, so check back then for some more awesome videos. And we do obviously want you to like and subscribe and all that good stuff, and share the video and help out the channel a great deal. That would be lovely. But until next time, take care of yourselves and enjoy the last few looks of the inside of a space station, which took me a long time to work out how to open a door. Art imitating life, mate. Beautiful. Okay, love you. Bye-bye.